right, what's going on, everybody? Blessings and blessings, love to everybody. Appreciate y'all all coming through. Hope y'all had a good weekend. Hope y'all had a good first day back to work. If you guys did work today. For the people in the States out here, it's Columbus Day. They got, some people are off work. My daughter's off of school, things like that. It's a little bit why I'm a little bit, I took a little extra sleep, if you will. But everything's going good. Had a good weekend. Overall was a good weekend. Went to Comic-Con. That was fun. So my buddy over there in Great Shine Photo, I had him on here previously. So that was pretty cool. Comic-Con is always fun. I don't think there's one time where it's really not fun. So I wanted to today, what we're talking about. We're talking about the Conor McGregor Kabib fight. Definitely. I mean, it was very hyped. It was a very good fight. For Khabib's corner anyway. Khabib's corner had a good night, man. I'll tell you that much, man. He did his thing. Not really much you could say. A lot of people know, and if you don't know, I'm definitely a McGregor fan. And it's not really because of who McGregor is. It's because of his choice of being a striker. I was hoping that you could get a win for the striking, the striker discipline, I guess you could say. It's always that I guess you could say that age-long debate on who's better, the striker or the grappler. And this were the two polar opposites of that discipline, right? It's the striker versus the grappler. Who's gonna win? How is it? How is it gonna play out? The best striker versus the best grappler. Right now. So, we saw what happened. But what I want to also say about that is, he not only. Well, I don't want to say it this way, but he did. Kabib did a great job of fighting McGregor standing up. A better job than I thought he would do. In the third round, McGregor started to really start showing that he's a better striker. But I just feel like everything Khabib wanted, he got. He wanted to maul him. He wanted to make him tired. He wanted to stand up, and he wanted to fight him standing up. And he did that. He did everything he wanted to. I feel that McGregor didn't really get a chance to, and not that he didn't get a chance. He got all the chances, but what I would have wanted to see McGregor do differently in the fight was to be a little bit more offensive. Like you're gonna get taken down, and I think that was. Well, I don't think I know. I waited a bit before our live stream. Talking about this because I wanted to get and hear what other people are saying. What was going around. From people like Dana White and the coaches and things like that. I wanted to get a little bit more before that and see if our views on certain things aligned. And on the Joe Rogan podcast, if you guys don't watch that, definitely give it a follow on that. I'm only saying that because I listen to it as well. It's not like he sponsored me or anything like that. I was listening to clips of it, and I believe one of McGregor's coaches was on, and he even said, so when after I saw the fight and I was mulling over and I was like, damn, I wish McGregor was just a little bit more offensive, because you have to know that you're gonna get taken down. And I wish that if he would have used more of his energy on offense, and then when he got down, which he was gonna get taken down, then he would have, try to be a little conserved, and do exactly what he did. He that's another thing. He did a great job on the ground, defending on the ground. Like, I thought he did a really amazing job, which a lot of people are not talking about. Which, like I said, when I watched the Joe Rogan podcast, a lot of the things that we were, that I would have wanted McGregor to do, the coach was seeing the same thing. So he did say that, I wish we would have worked, or we would have emphasized for him to be a little bit more offensive. The whole training camp was defense, counter punch, defensive against the grapple. And also what he did was said that if, come out, try to counter him as best you can, but if you do get taken to the ground, don't try to waste a lot of energy, because his application of getting you back to the ground is so strong that just, do the best you can. Try not to get you back to the ground. Just try to sit up and strike as best you can, and just wait out the round. Then do it again. And he did that, and I thought that was really good. I thought that was a really good idea, because that's the same thing I would have done. I'm not going to try and out grapple a grappler, right? I'm just going to defend against it, try not to take as much damage as possible, try to conserve myself. That's the same thing I would have done. If I'm gonna get taken to the ground against somebody that's a better grappler, I'm just gonna defend up as best I can, and get the shots in here and there, and exactly what McGregor did. So, like I said, the only thing that I thought was an issue, I feel like if he would have been just a little bit more offensive when they were standing up, that first and that second round, I feel like he should have put a little bit more emphasis on really trying to lay in on him, because like I said, you're gonna get taken down. You're gonna you have to have the mindset. It's like in a striking match. It's like in any kind of combat sport, you have to know that you're gonna get hit, right? So you have to just be ready to get hit. And it's the same thing here with a guy like Kabib. You're gonna get taken down unless you knock him out before he comes in, or you do something that you knock him out before. But in the back of my mind, I would have been like, look, I know I'm gonna get taken down. I'll do the best I can to stop him, but I'm gonna push the offense. And it's weird, you see the aftermath, and again, that's the training camp. The training camp was the defensive to the grapple. I think, and I was saying it before too, I said, at this stage of the game in their careers, McGregor has been obviously one of the best strikers. Kabib is obviously a great grappler. You can't really switch the mold, right? So McGregor's not gonna all of a sudden be this great grappler, right? He's gonna, not saying he won't be a great grappler. He's not gonna be this, he's not gonna be somebody like Kabib that's been doing it for 15 years. That's a professional grappler. He's not gonna, because his 15 years was spent honing his striking skills. So when you say that, you know that you're not going to beat him on the ground, you're not going to an extent stop what he's going to do on the ground. All you can do is prepare for it and defend against it. So on the opposite side, he should know, like, Conor McGregor has so much of an arsenal in his repertoire when it comes to striking, and you didn't really see him do that. Like, I wish he was throwing a lot more kicks, throwing more check kicks to the legs. Like, it just felt like he was thinking so defensively that he wasn't loose. He wasn't loose. He didn't fight the fight that he would have fought. When you look at some of his other fights and how loose he was going in, and just so confident, bouncing. Like, I didn't see that, and that's what if I would have saw that McGregor, I would have felt a lot more confident in the fight. When I saw that first round, even because when he got to the ground, I wasn't even that nervous because he did a great job on the ground. He most of the round, even though he was on, he got taken down. He was sitting up. You know, he was getting them strikes in and stuff like that. So he you know, he wasn't doing bad. You know, he definitely had a good you know, he did have a good camp and he did have a good defense on the ground. Like I really thought he did really, really well. He reminded me of Boss Rutan when he was like noticeably a bad grappler, but he really, really honed his defense of the grapple. If he got taken down, he would defend really well, and if any chance he got to stand back up, he would stand back up. You know, and let's take it, to where I'm better. And I just wish he would have. I wish he would have done that. You know, I wish he would have just been a little bit more offensive. Really, really pressuring him, forcing Kabib to say, look, you know what, I gotta rush in and I gotta get this guy down quick. Taking more damage before he went in and got the grapple, because hopefully maybe he could have dazed him. He would have hit him with some of that power, so that it would have been a little bit harder for him to grab, to take him down. But, that's the fight, that's what they were doing, that's what happens. Shout outs to Kabib, he did his thing, the same thing I was talking about on my social media, he did everything that he wanted to do in the ring, so there's nothing that you could say. There's really nothing that you could say about that. But now let's talk about after the fight. After the fight. So I watched someone else that I follow on YouTube, and if you guys listen to this and you want to follow them as well, go Fight Tips. Guy named Shane Faison. I follow him a lot. He gives me a lot of different ideas of when I want to, when I'm training, what I want to do, and just ways to get better. As you all know, I'm a dude that I like to take a lot of knowledge from wherever I can, and there's a lot of knowledge out there. So with that being said, just short synopsis of what he was saying, and it was funny because it's a little bit around how I was feeling. Pretty much said that people are taking sides when there should be no sides taken. They both were wrong, and that's both not. They both didn't I guess show what martial arts is really about. Because now the UFC, any newcomers outside looking in are gonna really look down upon it and like, yo, this is what they do. So that was just a short synopsis of what he was saying. If you want to catch that, definitely check out Fight Tips. To check out this whole thing. He definitely seemed emotional about it, because of being a martial artist, and I feel the same way in the sense that, being a martial artist, when I talk to people about it, the first thing people will think of is, of course, fighting, tough guys and stuff. And it is fighting, right? Just like he said in the video, just like I've discussed here before, you catch some of my other videos, about martial artists, about, the puffed up chest black belts, I had, conversations with, my coach and other martial artists like my man John's, one of the episodes that I had before with him. This is the art of Mars being the god of war, so it is a discipline on learning how to fight. But that may be what the discipline is about, to learn how to fight, but how to utilize it correctly, right? Knowing when to fight and when not to fight, things like this. So again, with that being said, there's a lot of blame to go around, and what I will say is that what I'm not hearing, or what I'm not that I'm, what I'm not seeing, in which I'm very disappointed, is how the UFC is trying to not have any blame on this. You know, I hear a lot of interviews from Dana White, and you know, he talks about how he, you know, did everything that he could as far as security wise, and you know, he assembled a good team, so it didn't escalate as bad as it would have. If okay, so I'm gonna look at that from two spots. And if you want to hear any, you know, just check any interviews with what's going on with Dana White. You know what I'm saying? And the interviews that he did, you know, Dana White did a few interviews already, so you'll probably hear the same thing no matter what interview you listen to. And on the press conference, you know, he was saying the same thing. He felt like, you know, he did what he, you know, he did the best that he could to kind of calm down the situation. What I'm not hearing is beforehand, right? Like Conor McGregor. Okay, let's put this personally. Conor McGregor was talking about some of his family. He was talking about, you know, his dad being a terrorist. He was talking about his country. He was talking about his religion. Now, I'm very big on, you know, as long as they don't put their hands on me, I don't care what you're saying. And I'm still big on that, you know. But to say that it doesn't still hurt to an extent is an understatement. You know, words do hurt, especially if you talking about certain things like, you know, somebody's family, somebody's religion. So I think, and this is the fight game, right? You know, that's what happens. Like it's just like in a real fight. You know, somebody's gonna talk bad. You know, talk something about you. You know, that's how fights get started. That's how fights, you know, get to their apex with people talking. Really, like people talking. You feel disrespected. That's how fights go. So I can see the emulation, but I think because since this is a professional sport, they influence, you know, millions, you know, influence viewers. There should have been some kind of a cutoff. I think the UFC needs to do a better job when it comes to that, because, you know, the thing is, and it's a really bad position to be in, is because yes, we know that this is what sells fights. We know that Conor's personality, his talking, it sells fights. It makes money. If it wasn't for people like him, people like Floyd Mayweather, you know, those dudes that are very flamboyant, and, you know, even going back in time, you know, Muhammad Ali, all of these dudes that were very flamboyant and they could back it up, those are the people that everybody wants to see, because they can't wait to see them lose. So, and then you have the other side of people that love to hear them talk and back it up. You know, it sells fights. It makes it more interesting. I get it. And it's not like we haven't seen things like this before. You know, even going back to, you know, Muhammad Ali and all that, when he was calling, I think it was Joe Louis, a monkey and all that stuff, you know, and you know, things of that nature. We've seen it. Doesn't mean that it's right. You get where I'm coming from? Like, yes, we know that it sells, but just because things sell doesn't make it right. And again, you know, especially when it comes to martial arts, yes, I get it. It's the fight game. You know, things like these things happen, you know, when the talking. But I really do think, especially now how the society is moving, you know, a lot of this, you know, a lot of people are really taking into account what people say, you know, when it comes to like bullying, cyberbullying, like all that, like things like this we would have never heard of 10, 15 years ago, you know, cyberbullying. Like I had a conversation with someone, and when they tell me, you know, oh, you know, they're getting cyberbullied or something, I can never understand it, because all I would say is, well, why don't you just click the X, you know, like cut the conversation. You don't have to listen to that conversation, you know what I mean? So I don't know, what's going on, Peter? How you doing, brother? Appreciate you coming through. Connor's crew talked trash and then got called on it. They didn't realize someone else would step up to them. Both sides were silly though. Yeah, definitely. And like, you know, I'm going into that. Like I was trying to say, there's everybody has blame. Connor's camp, Kabib's camp, UFC. I think everybody has a lot of blame to go around, and you also have to understand a lot, understand where everybody was coming from, and that's why it's such a hard position to be in. But like I said, and I was saying before, I definitely don't agree with Dana White trying to just totally not have any blame in it. When you listen to interviews with him, he's like, oh, this is the fight game, people are gonna talk, this is always how it's gonna be, I did everything that I could. I assembled the right team so that it didn't escalate. But this is where it did escalate. This has been months that these guys have been talking, and to an extent, I think Conor may have taken it too far, and I don't think that the UFC handled that well in that aspect, where you let him talk about his like. One of the interviews, one of the press conferences that Conor McGregor had, he went in on his dad. He was like, yo, this dude is a terrorist, 9/11. He was, he was caught with this. And he went in. And Dana White is just standing there, standing there smiling, like that. To me, I don't think that that's cool, So I get it, maybe to an extent, like right there when that was happening, but I would have took Conor to the back and I said, look, I know you do your thing, but you can't, let's not take it too far now. I think that's a little bit, a little bit going overboard. I can see, talk all the mess that you want about Kabib. That's different, but taking it there, talking about, I don't know, you gotta, you have to say that to some extent that's a little bit too far. You know what I mean? Because, as it being a professional sport, see, that's the thing. This ain't the streets. If this was the streets, then there's no rules. This is not a street. You're promoting this. You want people to watch this. You have to have accountability for things like that. This is a professional sport. Yes, it's fighting. It's the fight game. People have, the testosterone levels are real high. They're getting hype. I get that. But again, it's a professional sport. And a professional sport has to have a certain criteria. What's the difference between it and street fighting? For that, we just go on World Star Hip Hop and just watch these dudes go at it and watch it for free. But these dudes have to be held to a higher standard so that there could be accountability. You can't, you just, it was, I think it was a little bit too far. And I'm very disappointed in how Dana White is handling that end of it. Because to act like you couldn't have done anything better is a bad way to go about it. Like, any businessman should know, everything is my fault. You know what I'm saying? Everything is my fault. There's always ways that you could have done better, and I feel like him just pushing it to the side and saying I couldn't have done anything, this is the fight game, people are gonna talk. That's not a good way to handle it. You're the face of the company. Something like this happened, there's ways for you to make it better, and I hope he learns from it, and you're maybe there should be, listen, if you're gonna talk, let's not go to families, let's not go to religions, let's not go to country. Keep it between you and him. That's it. Keep it between those two. There's ways that we can make this better. There's always a way, and I definitely think that the talking went a little too far. You know what I'm saying? What's going on, Jakey Crawford? Dana White is counting dollars and just wanted to sell tickets because this ticket was far lower than Conor versus Mayweather. Yeah, and that's the problem. See, that's the problem. It's a money thing, and talking smack makes money. There's no way around that. But the problem is that, I think it went a little too far, and Dana White is not trying to take responsibility for shutting that down. How much do you think he would have, Kabib is supposed to take? He wasn't saying anything. All those press conferences, all those talks, he wasn't saying anything. So when it comes to that time and the testosterone is at that boiling point where it just busts, I mean, what do you think is gonna happen? Mark Hunt on Nate Diaz. What's going on, Crawford? I gotta say Nate, man. Well, I want to say Nate, but I haven't seen Nate fight in a while, man. So he might have that rust. On him. Isn't that's supposed to be the next fight, right? Did they make that happen? Is that confirmed yet? Because I was hearing about it a little bit in the press tour for McGregor Kabib about that fight, but I didn't hear it was confirmed yet. Yeah, back to the the aftermath here. And Kabib on his press conference, he's kind of said the same thing. He said, I'm not hearing anybody saying anything bad about Conor McGregor, talking about my family and my religion and stuff and all this. Yes, I know I was wrong because I physically, I could have stopped myself, right? I could have physically stopped myself, but I chose, to jump over and do what I did, and he's wrong, and he admitted that he was wrong, but I don't hear anybody talking about, what he did. And it's true, nobody's not saying about, what happened in the press conferences, all that stuff. And let's even go back to the bus ride. They were like, "Yo, how do you feel about the bus ride?" He said, "I can't lie that I'm mad. I'm still a little upset about that. You know what I'm saying? Because those are people's lives there. You know what I'm saying? People's livelihoods was on the line there, and he went a little crazy. So yeah, I'm still mad. So I don't know. I mean, he Conor did get punished for what he did. But that's not the point. The point is that all of that building. I don't see what else is going to happen. And it was the two camps really laying into each other. And I really think, Dana White and the UFC should have kind of shut it down to an extent. I definitely think they could do better in that end. As far as Kabib, yes. Being a martial artist is about discipline. Like I always say, I don't care what you say. You could talk all that all you want, as long as you're not putting your hands on me, it's all good. So, yes, there's he made a move. I understand why he made a move, but he still made a move. So, of course he is wrong. He could have just soaked it all in after he won and left it at that. He could have left it there in the ring. But even when you heard some of the press conferences, a lot of dudes were asking him and Conor, are you guys gonna shake hands after this? And a lot of them were like, no, I'm not shaking hands with him. And I thought that I can't believe a lot of more people weren't alarmed by that. A lot of people should have been alarmed that like, yo, you're not gonna shake this man's hand. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to leave that in the ring. This is the apex of all the testosterone. It got to stay there. And I'm surprised that nobody was really, really pushing that. Like, well, how are you not going to shake hands? And that should have been an alarm to Dana White. Where, like, yo, these dudes is really, like, upset. Like, they're not going to shake hands. That means that it's still going to keep happening. Like, something's going to happen. And you could tell that he kind of had an idea, because why would you get so much extra security and talking about putting this right team together, if you didn't think something was going to go down? And that's where I didn't really understand how can he say that he did the best that he could, because you're trying to contain something at the time of. But what about, before it happens, kind of easing the tensions a little bit and telling these dudes like, yo, kind of chill out with the talking, kind of, you gotta really say that it was Conor with the talking. So kind of telling Conor's camp like, yo, you gotta kind of chill. This is not what we want to be out there like this, and I don't know, man. I really, like I said, everybody could have done things differently. Conor McGregor is Conor McGregor. He's going to say what he wants to say. I guess he, in a sense, he's earned the right to do that. But it went too far, man. You know, I've never heard of him talking about people's families like that, or you know, somebody's religion, you know, like that. I never, I don't know. I've watched, you know, a lot of fights. I've never heard that before. You know, I think, like I said, I think it definitely took it a little to the extreme, because I've never heard someone talk about somebody to the extent that Conor has. You know, Dana White talked about in one of the press conferences as well that he thinks Conor McGregor is probably the best at the mental game that he's seen since Muhammad Ali. And, you know, to an extent, yeah, probably he's right. But I mean, there's a, like, you know, there's a kind of, you gotta kind of have a code of conduct, man. You know, like I said, this is professional sports. You gotta have some kind of rules on that, man. I really feel that way. Pedal Will said, luckily it was just one fight. I think Dana will keep that shit on lock from here on out. Yeah, and I mean, and I hope so. That's what I'm saying. I feel like, you know, him trying to say that he, you know, is kind of like squeaky clean on this. You know, I did what I could. You know, come on. You know, like let's be real here. You know, that's not a good way to go about it. You know, this is your business. You the face of this business. You know, everything is your fault. You know what I'm saying? Everything is your fault. Everything is, you know, everything is just like everything is my fault. You know, again, like I said, this is not the streets. You know, if this was the streets, then yeah, there's no rules. That's different. But these dudes are professional athletes. You know what I'm saying? They need to be held at a higher standard, and it's up to the UFC to facilitate that. You know, there's really no way around that. You know, because everybody's gonna look at that and say, well, okay, well, what happened when he was saying these things? You know. And just like Kabib said, you know, nobody's talking about, you know, what he was saying. You know, nobody talking about that. You know, you know, I mean, I don't really think that there's anything else to say other than that. You know, it was up to Kabib to either temper himself or not. I think he's gonna learn from that. You know, hopefully as a martial artist, he will learn from that. You know, I think he will. You know, but everybody makes mistakes, man. They're human. You know, we are all human. We all done some dumb shit that you look back and like, damn, I didn't have to do that. You know, said something that, you know, you could be like and say, oh, well, I didn't have to say that. You know, I just chose to say it because I didn't care. Or, you know, probably Kabib's thinking the same thing. You know, I could have held myself back, but I didn't care. You know, I was upset. You know, I was still upset. You know, and I think it was worse that he did win, you know, because if he would have lost, I'm sure nothing would have happened like that. But it's just that he won, and he was just feeling himself so much that, he went out and he did his thing. You know, it's crazy. Pedal Will says he did bare minimum and hoped it would turn out okay. Dana is as much to blame as the two. Exactly, right, exactly. You know, he didn't shut it down in the beginning. You know, he didn't shut it down as it was going on, as these press conferences was going on. Yeah, he could have easily shut it down. You know what I mean? But he didn't choose to do that. You know, he was like, yeah, this is gonna be, you know, this is money right now. You know, after everything. I mean, you can't deny how you know, the dollar signs were clicking in Dana White's head. You know, how he was talking about it and everything. You know, he knew that this talking was going to lead to something big. It's just, do you think it was too far? You know what I'm saying? Because I definitely think it was way too far. Again, and it's because they are professional athletes. You know, they are on a main stage. It's being viewed by millions and millions of people around the world. You know, they got to be held to a certain standard. You know, because if you just want to say, oh yeah, it's the fight game, you know, this is what happens in the fight game, people are going to talk. Yeah, but at what point do you monitorize that? You know what I'm saying? At what point do you say, okay, enough is enough? You know, because then what is the difference between you guys and the dudes in the streets? You get what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I understand you guys are disciplined in the sense of physical, but what about the mental? You know, what about the discipline aspect of it to hold it down to a certain extent? You know what I mean? Because like I said, what is the difference between you or a street guy, you know, that does the same exact thing, but then is going to talk? For that, it'd be street fights. And obviously, you know, we don't want that. So, you know, it's a very fine line, and, you know, hopefully Dana White, does something about it. And I'm sure he will. Like you said, like Petro will, like you said, I think he's going to lock it down. I really think, with all the negative attention that he's going to get from this, they're gonna hit him on that. They're gonna hit him and say, look, you could have stopped, or at least you could have, told McGregor, yo, chill with certain things and talking. And I think in the future they will do. I mean, hopefully, hopefully he just doesn't take it and just brush it to the side and like, oh no, it's not my fault. Let's hope not, because that's really a bad way to go about it. There's always ways to improve things. And sometimes you may have to take a hit on the money aspect of it, but to make a stronger brand as well. Let's not forget about that. It may not be the best financial decision, but it may be the better overall decision if you look into some of the things that you should and should not be able to say. It can't always be all about money. Because if it was like that, like I said, what's the difference between you guys and street fighters? You know what I'm saying? It has to. You guys have to be held to a higher standard when it comes to things like that. Other professionals they're held to a higher standard all the time. Because your role model, you got some people are coming in new watching this UFC just because of Conor McGregor, you know what I'm saying, and just because of Kabib, because he wasn't talking, and now you look at it and it's like, damn, this is how shit go down, and it sucks, because it's not, I know it's not promoted, again, it's leave it all in the ring, but the backstage stuff does count, the backstage stuff does count, the press conferences, those all count. They all mean something, so I don't know. That's my rant on that for today. Gotta end a little bit early because I gotta go to the supermarket and get some stuff. I'm gonna put this up on iTunes and all that stuff, so I want you guys to comment anything you guys feel differently or would have wanted to see. I'll put this up everywhere. I hope y'all enjoyed. Well, thank you for coming through. Crawford, thank you for coming through. Everybody else that came through to chill and relax for a bit and listen. Hope y'all enjoyed. Love and blessings to everybody, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.